Hello, welcome to this course. I am giving you a little introduction as well to the module that we're looking at this week, where we're really exploring what is a very logical question to start out this course, and that is, what is law? And the nice thing about this question is that you all know the answer individually in your own heart about what is law, because there's no right and wrong answer, and you're coming into this course fresh with a perspective that you bring as a citizen of this country that is absolutely valid and vital and important and a great contribution for everyone in this class, what you bring in your own world of what is law. So it's really helpful to start out by thinking, what is it to you? And how has that been shaped in your life? And it's very possible that it was shaped by the media, by TV shows about the law, and a lot of those shows, most of them, I get the impression, are that are shaping my students are those that are from criminal law. And so you might have impressions based on that. Perhaps this is based on your own experiences, and maybe it's traffic court or some other kind of experience, pleasant or not, that you've had, whether it's being on a jury or more likely being called for jury duty and spending the day in the courthouse and not being selected for a jury. So we're going to look at this. We're going to look at the structure of our court system. And first, we're really looking at the definition of what is law. And I say a definition, not a formal type, but what do you bring? What is the function of it? And that will help you as you go forward in the course. So most of the time when we think about it, we're thinking in terms of the function, right? That this is our rules. These are the ways, the law and order, as you have in your mind from those TV shows, as well as the way that we as society and citizens maintain social constructs and order. Now, that's good to know because that is sort of like a top down kind of view of the law. And then on top of that, think about when you come to the court on your own. And so we're looking now at some terms: private law, public law. These are different ways of looking at the law. Public law is maybe that first instinct you had about law and order, and this is how you are maintaining. It's like rules that are top down. That is true even in areas like environmental protection, protecting the food supply. So that would be food and drug law. These are laws that are set from society. We call those public laws. And if you look at it that way, you'll see that there's many protective functions, not just I'd say, I won't say negative, but not just that imposition, of what you must do, and your view that you might have obtained from the criminal law system. Think also how law protects us, not just from our fellow citizens and their behavior, but also from pollution in the environment, toxins in the food supply. These are all different areas of law that are also public law. And then, of course, the big one that we're also going to talk about in this class, constitutional law, the idea that you have rights. You have rights as a citizen in this country, and often those rights are in conflict with another citizen's rights, or maybe with the government's rights, where the government is going to restrict your rights. And then that should hopefully elicit in you some kind of critical response like, well, wait a minute, I have the right to do this. Be an advocate for yourself, because no rights exist without a remedy. And if you sleep on your rights, then those slowly erode. Even in a society where we have such a beautiful document that you'll learn about, the Constitution, you also need to be awake and be constantly vigilant and make sure that you stand up for your rights, and that keep those rights that are written in the document and not have them slowly disappear. These are all things to think about as you're starting out and thinking, what is the law to you? And I'd also like you to think, when we talk about public law, right, then we're also talking the counterpart, which is private law. So private law is the relationship between citizens. So if you were to find that somebody does something that causes you injury, perhaps leaving a hose out, which would be negligence if you trip on it, or maybe there's something more intentional that they harm you and you want to be able to sue for the injury to your person or property, That is called a tort. T-O-R-T. There's no E at the end because it is not a cake. Okay. You may not have heard that word before, but you're hearing it first here. And we'll, of course, do a whole chapter on that. And that's an example of function of coming to the court, to the judge, asking for assistance in terms of money damages for those injuries. So that's a very important function of the law in protecting you, even from your fellow citizens, and also maybe preventing harm in the future by the way that we shape those kinds of lawsuits. And you're coming to the judge in the court system that we'll learn about for help with that. Another kind of situation where it's a civil lawsuit and we have a private law situation with a fellow citizen would be contract law. The idea that maybe you make an agreement with somebody and they don't carry out their end of the agreement, what can you do? How do you get that contract enforced? So you'll get very familiar with and comfortable with contracts as we'll go throughout the semester, because of course that's very important to the business world. And it's important then, of course, in a business law class. So you'll be learning about that and think about that as an important kind of a positive function because here the court is there to help you. The judge is there to help you resolve the situation. And again, with money damages, or maybe even having the judge order something like turn over the title to the land. Now, when we talk about that, we are really looking at remedies. We're looking at, as I said, no right exists without a remedy, and we're looking to see, well, what do you want at the end of this case? Always think about that because that will shape the kind of lawsuit that you might be pursuing and the kind of action. Think about what you want at the end. Do you want money damages in a civil case? Do you want this to be something where the person is prosecuted criminally? And that would be something that you as a citizen don't bring. It'll be the prosecutor who does, but you might be asking to press charges, right? You might be satisfied just knowing that the perpetrator is in jail if this was a criminal act. Or maybe in addition, you might be suing for money damages for your injury, the harm done to you. Another thing that you can ask for in remedies is equitable remedies. Perhaps what you're looking for is to have the order of the land be moved or transferred to you, or have the sale stopped or the bulldozer stopped before they knock down the trees. Those are all examples of equitable remedies and very important for you to pursue. So that's a little bit of a sense of what you might be looking for in the law for your personal life on that private level, in addition to the public law that protects all of us from ourselves, maybe from pollution, and also from the government restricting our rights. So think about those as we start out together. And one last question for you, and that is to think about justice. What is justice compared to law? Well, if we think of law as the rules, then justice is the end result of what we want when we apply these rules. And so when we seek justice, it doesn't always happen simply by applying the law. And that's another concept of equity that we're going to look at, and ethics. And the idea is, well, the judge has certain powers to go beyond simply interpreting and applying the law. And sometimes you appeal to the judge's equitable powers. You might have seen the word equity, an equitable distribution. The accounting majors of you might have seen that because the idea is, well, you want it to be a fair distribution. It may not be technically equal, but it would be fair, like a distribution of assets. And so equity has that concept of fairness. And sometimes we need to ask the judge to do something a little extra to achieve justice. And we hope that that will be the end result of applying the law and whatever equitable powers the judge has to make sure things are fair and just. So that is our beginning point for this course. And think about it. Think about your personal reactions to it. And we'll be learning that and much more as we go forward in the semester. Looking forward to doing that with you soon.